Alrighty, welcome back to a finals edition of Hit the Gap. We are back after the conclusion of finals week 2, so we've seen a fair few teams drop out. What do we got? Prelims next weekend or this coming weekend?
Indeed. We've got a great little setup as well for this one. It's going to be a very interesting few games, I think. But even the games that we've just seen have been also yielding some pretty interesting results as well. Some expected, maybe not as high scoring as some of them have been, but a few unexpected and saddened ones. But it is what it is. We will go down with the ship.
Yep. We'll look at finals week 1. We might as well start there. Very obviously, the first couple games. So top 4. It's a top 4 face-off. So whoever lost played this week. Whoever won got the week off. So first game on the Friday, the Panthers versus the Roosters. It was pretty
clinical.
Yeah, pretty clinical, pretty straightforward. I mean, the Roosters really just never were never ready for it, or they just couldn't compete. Really, hey.
Cleary back to his best as well. Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude made absolute mincemeat of their entire backline. And the fact that everyone spent so much time trying to control Cleary and still not get anything done. Mind you, Edwards had a free game as well, so he was running amok. I think even forwards were looking for there was forwards going over in this one too, so it was just all over the shop for the Roosters. They could not do a damn thing.
Yeah, I mean the first probably 10, as we usually say, it's usually first 10, 15 minutes when teams are feeling each other out, but first 10 minutes or so the Roosters were relatively in it, but then after that it was almost like fatigue started to set in well into the first half, which was a bit unfortunate.
It honestly felt like in that game that Teddy was the only person trying to have a friggin' go. The only one trying to have a go.
Yeah, they were pretty shattered. I know. I'm pretty sure it was the first half there, but the point where you just knew they were all dusted, like they were all tired as.
Well, this is another one where there was next to no whistle as well.
Yeah, constant everything, like the ball being in play for starters, but no pull-ups for penalties or. If anything, I guess maybe 6 agains. But
it's been a very interesting final series so far with the whistle.
Yeah,
I will say.
Yeah, definitely. But that moment where I guess you just saw that the Roosters were just buggered. I think might have been Connor Watson tackled James Fisher-Harris or whatever and came down and he just sort of slipped over because just fatigue. He just got himself in the wrong spot and didn't get out of it when he was completing the tackle and got a crusher penalty, or Fisher-Harris got a crusher penalty for it, and just the look in his eyes when he stood up and realised they had to defend another 5 tackles. Well, it didn't take 5 tackles for him to go over, obviously, but they had another 5 tackles to defend. Yeah, you could just tell. And then I think it might have been the second half, actually, where the ball ended up down on the Panthers' line, so close to the Roosters they'd gotten to a try for a while. Watson booted it, and he was 10, 50 metres clear of any other Panthers player. By the time he got to pick the ball up off the 10 and run toward the try line, he got taken down, and by the time we got up and played the ball, there was 2 Roosters behind him, ready to take a run, and almost the whole Panthers defensive line set up on their try line, ready to defend.
Ready to defend still, yeah.
So, just those sort of scenes were pretty telling.
Pretty telling, just straight off.
How it played out.
The disparity between the two teams was like...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
30 points to 10 is probably pretty, I wouldn't say generous, but I mean...
For a finals game.
Yeah, you would have thought, I would have been very, very shocked if the Roosters got any more than 10 points, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yep. So, turned out pretty, as pretty expected, I think, probably, really.
Very much so.
The Saturday game, or first Saturday game, Storm versus the Sharks. Now, this one... Again, we know how good the Storm have been, but I would have thought Sharks sort of starting to turn form around a bit, and Hines coming back into form at least. Would have thought there would have been a little bit more about it.
I mean, we looked at the Roosters game and we were like, yeah, look, this is going to probably only go one way, and it will most likely be like a tough game for the Roosters because they've literally this is their first game back without a half, and with a new hooker, or at least not a consistent hooker, So it's like this is going to be wacky. It will be wacky. This is expected. This one, I thought there'd be a little bit more fight back than this.
Yeah,
and man, did they get slaughtered.
Yep. It pretty methodical, I guess you could say, from the Storm. They kind of just come out and they did what they do, where they can pass the ball around. I think it was only the first minute when Munster went over, or whatever happened off the kickoff.
It was record, I believe. First minute, literally first 60 seconds.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
First person to get a try in finals. With in the first 60 seconds.
Yep.
Followed by the first time a hooker has ever had a hat trick in finals ever, literally ever.
Yep.
So Harry Grant.
Hats off.
Hats off to him for sure. Literally, hats off for Harry for his hat trick.
Yeah, they did. They played that flashy style and got points off that, but did what Storm do, and just maintained that dominance over the poor Sharkies, unfortunately, which gave him a bit of a kick up the arse, but probably not the kick up the arse they
really wanted.
Yeah, or really wanted, but just I don't know whether it's a little bit disjointed between the Sharks or what at the moment. I still feel like Hines, I mean, he's back to form in comparison to where he was quarter of the way, halfway through the year, but whether he's still maybe just carrying an injury, or they're just trying.
It wouldn't shock me if he's carrying. I mean,
still maybe just something with that lower leg, or whether they're trying some sort of different dynamic with him and Trindle and stuff now, because those two on the park, that's when they're on, that's probably the Sharks' best halves pairings they're ever going to have with the team they've got currently. Like we saw earlier in the season how dominant they were, both of them, when they were on. So.
I mean, they were just so dangerous no matter where you went. That's the thing. Like, the Storm, like, I kind of felt bad for the Sharks, because no matter where they went, no matter where they went, they were always well defended.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, they were so hard to defend against.
Yeah.
Like, I think they spent most of their time hard stacking both the left and the mid, like both left edge and mid, and just getting wrecked every time. Like, Hughes was just putting up incredible balls. But then on top of that as well, you also had a lot of really good contests, especially from the middle forwards and the edges.
Yeah.
Hats off to Alec McDonald as well. He put in some fucking work this game.
Mm-hmm.
He is an unsung hero, that bloke. But the amount of work that they all got through to put up what they did was pretty ridiculous. Hughes, I wouldn't be shocked to see him, hold that sort of best fullback of the year, I would say.
Or even, Dally M sort
of.
Dally M
sort of
in contention.
Level, yeah.
He's got to be in contention for it 100%, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, Munster had a blinder, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think Warbrick as well, he's well. Really... Yeah. They're using him perfectly.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, between him and Coates, they're on their wings. They're just stacked.
Well, that's the thing. They have to invest so much into that right side defense.
Yeah.
And they can't. Then it just leaves Warbrick open, and he's good. He's good enough and big enough to get around and against two people every time. Like, it's. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do?
Yeah, exactly right.
It's the same sort of thing when you're trying to verse the Roosters. They've got Tupou on one side and Dom Young on the other, and it's like you need to invest so much into that alone. And before you know it, you invest all this into both sides, and then fucking Teddy goes in. And it's like, fuck.
How?
What the fuck?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, they're just too. I don't know, methodical almost. I think the Storm really they're just the whole dynamic. They're just on at the moment, or they have been this year. Like, Hughes is probably
really
in
well
career
oiled.
Best. Yeah, exactly right. So they're just threats all over the park, as we know they can be. So, I mean, it'll get to when we get into the previews or whatever, or the finals games, the preliminaries, if I can get that one out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just see how dangerous they are in comparison. But yeah, they're just too much further ahead of the pack. I think similar to last year with Broncos and Penrith, just too far ahead of the pack. The rest of the teams there at the moment. And then the second Saturday game, the first elimination final game, was Cowboys versus the Knights, 28 points to 16 in the end, which, in my opinion, probably wasn't very indicative of the game itself. It was only right toward the end there. Cowboys sort of ran away with it a bit. But
it was also as expected.
Yeah, very tough sort of game initially. I think it was quite a bit of worry because Ponga was actually he was snapping ankles and
running amok.
Running amok, exactly right, and had everyone second guessing. No one could contain him really for the most part. But probably very lucky to the Knights not have had a higher lead. Otherwise, it would have been real hard for us to come back. I think, if I'm being honest. It was.
I think they just flat out burnt themselves out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if this was a Newcastle game, the score might have looked a little bit different. Like dead set. I think they really just burned themselves out, and Cows just ran away with it towards the end once they got a bit of energy advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you had forwards going over. I think there was 2 forwards go over.
Adam Elliott, I think Adam Elliott, did he get
No, for Cows. So for Cows. So Cows, they had
Yep.
Cows, they had Cotter and McLean both go over, I believe.
Yeah, second half.
That's right. Yep.
Yep.
So I think, it was just very indicative of where they were at. I think the Newcastle Knights just didn't quite have the pace to keep up.
Yeah.
I think I want to say it was maybe Brayley who opened up the game first.
Yeah. Yep.
Who has been a bit of an unsung one as well for the Knights season this game. I mean this year.
Yeah, between injury and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's come back and he's really owned it, which has been good. But yeah, not enough, not really just quite enough. I think if they had the training, conditioning, all that sort of stuff, and maybe a little bit more grunt going into the end of the season here with. Especially with Ponga. I mean, they didn't have him for over half a year,
Yeah.
Like over half a year. And they just don't have the support backing like Penrith does to keep it going.
Yeah, exactly right.
Can't be with that. You can't be without a fullback like that for so long, man.
And especially where we sort of saw it in this game, I think the attack and everything relies heavily on Ponga. It's all Ponga to create it and stuff like that, whereas you almost want him as your fullback to be... the icing on the cake or something, or you want him to be able to complete or finish. You need someone else, whether it be your halves or which half, just to set up and stuff like that.
They still don't really have like a...
No, still don't. No, exactly right. I think we talked about that. We've talked about it a few times, I think. But yeah, they just don't have a set in stone halves pairing, unfortunately, for the Knights. But... Yeah, 28 points to 16 in the end, like you said. Once that fatigue set in, a few of the boys started going over. I mean, McLean, lucky enough, got off the nudie run.
Yep.
Yeah. Cotter going over with what people were calling a contentious call, but I feel like people were upset that there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it being a no try.
But I feel like all of those people were 9 viewers. That's
exactly. I was about
to
say.
When I was shown the angles that Fox showed,
I
immediately was like, oh, that's...
But even then, I know 9, they did show it eventually, but it wasn't until well after the kick, conversion. I think it'd been kicked. It was like they'd gone and gotten. It was the side-on one that proved it, where a bit of hand to God almost. It looked like I even thought live. I thought, there's no way Cotter's knocked that on, but it's bounced off his knee and his hand didn't actually make it to it yet. You could see from the side angle that his hand didn't get anywhere near it, and his knee sort of pushed it forward. But yeah, lucky one there, which that got us back in the game. I think that was the one that really turned the tide, and I think probably broke the Knights' spirits a little bit, unfortunately. Knights being eliminated there in week 1 of the finals, unfortunately for them. The next game being the Bulldogs and Sea Eagles game, a lot tighter. It was a lot tighter of a game.
Just want to issue a personal apology to the to the police force.
Oh yeah.
After this game,
at every kebab shop in Sydney.
Best of luck, Sydney.
Yeah, literally, it was riot. They not a positive one either. I know they like to riot when they win or lose or draw, but it was tight loss and unfortunate for the Bulldogs. I mean, the scoreline shows like it's been a really good season for the Bulldogs in comparison. They're starting to probably see the fruits of their labour, or Sorolo's, signings and stuff like that, and coaching and stuff. It's starting to come through. Tough loss, first week to get knocked out, but yeah, compared to how they've been the last probably 8 years or so, I mean, Jesus.
You have to say this is still promising, though.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean,
it's been forever since we've literally forever since the Dogs have been in finals footy.
I mean, it doesn't matter unless you're holding it up at the end of the year, the trophy at the end of the year. But as a Dogs fan, you'd have to be happy. I know I would be as a Cowboys fan. I would have been happy if we lost in week 1 because it's an improvement. But you got to be happy they've made it.
The last time Dogs were in a finals game, I felt young.
Yeah. So it's everything's looking up. I mean, it's not proof of what's going to happen next year and whatnot either, but you've got to say it's positive. Sea Eagles just getting away with it in the end there. I think it was a bit of DCE magic that might have turned the tide.
Yeah, DC had a blinder this game.
Yeah,
even scored one himself, I believe. So
yeah, he did off a scrum, I think, or something. I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah. Just
that's where everyone was getting that picture of the neck.
Yeah. Yep.
Illegal. His neck's in the front.
Very, he would have been standing a metre back and his head would have been there in the scrum. Just very, very hard fought, tight game, that one, definitely. Sea Eagles just edging out the win in the end there. Both, I think, Sea Eagles have sort of suffered a little bit in the way of injury as well, because Turbo, I know he played this week, but I just don't think he was 100%.
No,
he sort of, whether he picked something or aggravated something up in that game.
But they really had edge and wing carry them this game as well.
Yeah.
Like DC was just put both him and Brooks were both just putting them in corners to edges and edges and wings. And they were making it happen. So
Yeah. So just getting away with the 2-point win in that one, which is all they needed. So yes, as we said, we saw Dogs and the Knights drop out in week 1. We'll jump on to finals week 2 and have a look at the results. Only the 2 games, obviously. Panthers and Storm getting a week to rest up. Good on them for winning first week. But Sharks versus Cowboys. Sharks coming away with the win in this, 26 points to 18. Yeah, 8 points the lead.
This was tough.
Another game like week 1 where the score just probably isn't indicative of how the game went. Sharks were probably just...
It's 24-0 first half.
They played, yeah, exactly right. They did play well. That's not to say they didn't play well, but they were probably pretty lucky, I think, in the end a little bit. They put on mass points initially and were dominating us. It didn't even look like we were going to get,
I will say they're probably lucky that there wasn't an extra 10 minutes in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It didn't look like we were going to get out of single digits for a while until the second half, sort of 10, 20 minutes into that, which we started to roll on there, but just too late for how far the Sharks
Too
late.
Yeah. Like we opened that second half with Val scoring in literally the first minute of the second half.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yep.
And then we just held position from then. We literally held it down until literally 70 minutes.
Yeah.
So
they
didn't score in the second half at all. They got a whack penalty.
Yeah, kick in front.
Yep.
From
a penalty which was from kicking out on the full when you're going for a dropout.
Yeah.
Which I still don't agree with that, but that it's the rule.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
That's the new one this year. It's been introduced. Yeah.
And every time I see it, I want to punch the air.
Yeah.
Not just when it's a Cows game.
Yeah.
But where the cookie crumbles on that one. But I mean, I think that 2 points probably deflated their sails. Unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely
Took the wind out of the sails, unfortunately, and they let it happen, unfortunately.
Yeah,
there, so.
I think so. And that's sort of how it happened initially too. It was a little bit like the defence just wasn't on initially. And
no,
mind you, I think Trindle played an amazing first half, and even second half he played well. He wasn't taking the lead, but
I think for the entire for the final series so far, he's been the most enigmatic to watch.
Yeah.
As a 6. He's
definitely
the most enigmatic attacking 6 that I've seen.
Most definitely.
I think Keary has looked a bit lackluster. I think even Luai has looked a bit lackluster in terms of attack. I think Luai's defense has been incredible though, I will say. Same with Keary. I think Dearden
taking a little bit of a back seat now that Cleary's back talking about Luai, but
100%.
Yep.
Dearden. I think Dearden, his attack has probably lacked a bit, but that's Dearden's probably not so strong suit, which I'm hoping is going to get worked on over the off season. But his defense he's the best defensive 6, and I'll stand by that. I'll stand on that one for sure.
I think I know what you're saying. I think it's almost a little bit too a bit of finding the way of the new dynamic with having Clifford there and Drinkwater, because we've seen with kicks and that Dearden sometimes does get them in kicks, but Dearden's always that
the running pass half,
sort of thing. But
I think from a defensive point of view, Dearden will take that forever. But I think from an attacking point of view, Trindle has been and shown just how potent and incredible he can be. He doesn't even need a 7 half the time. He'll fucking do it himself.
Yeah.
Like he's...
Yeah. Which we saw
happen in this game in particular. He took the reins and he showed that he will... In fact, 2 solo tries.
Yeah.
Not solo.
Yeah,
First one was solo. Second one was 90% solo.
Yeah.
So it's like 10% Ramian.
Pretty well, mostly his effort. Yeah, exactly right.
Like, just... Man... It's going to be... Look, I'm actually really genuinely excited to watch the Sharks play in this next game, so...
Yep, yeah.
Very genuinely excited.
Hopefully...
Just to watch Trindle, because he's fantastic to watch, really.
Hopefully they can take the one pumping loss and then this one the narrow win, or not narrow win, but the close win sort of thing, and just sort of focus themselves and steady into next week, because they're going to need it.
It's a tall order. It's a tall order.
Yeah. Yeah. Cowboys, I think, in this one, just let it get a little, like it's happened all year at times. They just let it get a little bit too far ahead, and not so much heads down, but just
run out of time.
Yeah, or trying to do a little bit of silly stuff to
the injuries
play flashy to get ahead. Really bad. Toward the end, definitely. But yeah, just trying to get back into it, or start something from doing flashy shit or silly stuff. But it all turned up in errors. I think the amount of errors Drinkwater made, and not his fault. The team lost by any means. He's not a main contributor or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of errors that sometimes you do see him make them, but he usually pulls it back in and reins himself in and whatnot. I think just trying to do a little bit too much and things going wrong there, as well as that compounded by dropped balls. Players knocking on.
Bit of mum spaghetti.
Even did, and like you mentioned earlier, on fifth, I think it was fourth.
It was fifth.
Yeah, fifth year
fifth
running
when
on fifth.
When he got absolutely...
And he got jammed.
Yeah, he tried to do his cheeky little inside shoulder, or outside shoulder rather, and they just turned back inside.
Yeah, bang. They knew what to expect. Yeah.
They'd clearly brushed up on their didn't players for sure.
But yeah, just losing it in that tackle, unfortunately. Just a little bit too flashy, maybe a step too far ahead of themselves. It seemed like at times, and then like we said, at the end there, the injuries that sort of set in with Val and Felt, and people having to get shuffled around, and that added to the fatigue. Players having to play for longer and in odd positions and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Which then, the last...
Shout out McIntyre, though.
Yeah, 100%. Man. Probably been one of the best, I'd say, this year for the team, out of being, his utilisation and whatnot, but also just
versatility
and effort and versatility. Yeah, definitely. But then, that last 5-10 minutes when the fatigue was well and truly there, it's when you started seeing drop balls non-stop. I think the last play of the game was with 5 seconds to go, another drop ball. So... Yeah, that's just how it goes.
At that point, he'd been playing out of his fucking skin.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, good on him.
Yep. But talking about injuries, very unfortunate to see 2 Cowboys, current legends anyway, sort of end their careers at the Cowboys on injury. Felt, which was a hamstring or calf injury. We were worried it was a hamstring initially, but then. We heard reports it was a calf and he may be back, but obviously, they weren't putting him back on, and probably better off for him too. I mean, as much as he probably would have wanted to be out there, he would have been more of a liability, I think, at that point in the game. Unfortunately, they were better off pushing Val out to the wing or something like that, which is, I'm pretty sure, what happened, which then in turn, unfortunately, ended up with him fracturing his leg initially, they seem to think, right?
Yep, it was definitely an initial fracture, which we all thought syndesmosis for sure.
Is it in a tackle? So for anyone that didn't see it, got tackled and someone landed flat on his leg, like just jammed him, land on his leg, and got up and he could see he was in pain. He was limping along and that he had something going wrong, and then 10 minutes later, running away or chasing someone to make a tackle.
It was chasing a kick.
That's right, chasing a kick, and
downfield.
Then whilst running, you just saw whatever let go or whatever. Yeah, he just knew and he dropped. So. Yeah, so a fracture that turned out to be a break eventually, unfortunately. Very, very, very rough way to go out.
And after watching it, because they showed it a lot of times, because they were like, no, this isn't a break.
Yeah.
No one ever expects an injury like that to be a break. It hurts so much more to watch after knowing it's a break.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Man. Like it was, and even when I saw him limping around before, I thought, nah, he's no good here, this poor bugger. Like you can see he's holding it, he's tapping it, trying to Yeah, no, it wasn't.
He probably didn't even realise it was broken either.
No, I don't think so, no.
Because you can walk around with fractures for quite a while before something goes wrong, and then which
inevitably, like it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wheel.
Unfortunate for them, but all the best in terms of recovery in that. Felt's got a bit of time, he's heading overseas and whatnot. He's hopefully not being too serious. A little bit of recovery now that the season's over. And Val as well. Hopefully he can get a bit of rest now the season's over before he has to worry about shifting on down south to Sydney again.
Yeah,
be good to see him get a good bit of recovery because it's well deserved. I think
absolutely
for all the boys now. The Saturday game, Roosters versus Seagulls. Now this one probably didn't. The scoreline probably wasn't what people thought it would have been. I know I tipped the Roosters, and I think most people were tipping Manly, but it just sort of did not go the way anyone thought it would. I think first minute Manly lost Gerbo and also Kohler.
Or Kohler, yeah.
Or the whole game. Or Kohler was. I don't know about Gerbo. Did Gerbo?
Ripley, yeah.
As well?
Both, yeah, Cat 1.
In the first minute?
Yeah, so Gerbo was Cat 1,
yep.
and Kohler was, I think, Cat 1 as well, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know Kohler was Cat 1, but yeah, so gone like that in an instant, which made things hard for them from the get-go, right off the bat.
Man.
But
an instant reshuffle from minute go. It's like, oh, fuck's sake.
The Roosters sort of just took it and ran away with it in this one, even being injury marred.
And let me tell you, Teddy exploited the fuck out of Kohler being gone, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yep.
Oh my god.
Like any good finals team would do.
Yeah, and
they did exactly that.
Yeah, that's a fullback right there. Anyone who had doubts on Teddy, he's got time left, bro. He's got plenty of time left. He's pumping.
Yeah, the footy knowledge in that, the ability but footy knowledge in that's just exponential, I think, especially in a team surrounded by players like he is. Like we're talking about them just being, marred by injury. They've got to put people in here, there, and everywhere. And as we've said, they are pretty lucky with their depth. But as for a team,
Sandon as well.
Yeah.
So he actually had a really, really good game as well. I think really he had a lot of control that was necessary for that in that
what
six.
They needed, yeah.
I think I think that he had a lot of question marks going into this game, especially after last week. But at the end of the day, you got to understand, you're versing the Panthers with essentially a fresh spine. Yeah. Yep. They're going to exploit you. They're going to make things hell for you.
100%.
It is what it is.
Yeah, turn the screws, definitely.
But this is exactly the same thing that they just did to the Manly Seagulls. They exploited the fact that their spine was just damaged from word go, and and both Sandon and Teddy had blinders attack-wise. Incredible attack this game.
Yeah, just ready to dominate, and dominate they did. I think every time I looked over at the TV, I just sort of thought, oh no, the Hello Sport boys, oh no.
Yep.
Humbled, respectfully humbled.
Kill the stream.
Yeah. Yep, probably, not too much more to say about it. I mean, we all know how hard it is for a team outside of the top four to make the finals, and much like we're looking at here, you've got your top four teams all in the prelims, playing each other off for the grand final. So, just, again, hats off to Manly for making it that far, beating the Bulldogs, even though it was only just beating the Bulldogs to get ahead.
And you also have to remember that there was quite a lot of doubt on Seibold.
Yeah, 100%. Rightfully so after the stint at the Broncos and whatnot. But now that he's probably got a bit of a different team, but probably a little bit more experience ahead of him, I think. Fresh pack and a little bit more coaching experience after, I think, being an assistant at the Knights for a few years. It's really
great buys as well.
Yeah, he has.
Luke Brooks has been integral.
100%.
Integral.
Yeah, he's done very, very well. And yes, Brooksy as well. Shout out to him. I know the Tigers already gave him a shout out for making the finals finally after ridding himself
literally
of
10 years.
But it was a good run from Manly in the end anyway. Finals week 3, so the prelims this weekend coming, we'll have a quick look at. They are no team lists obviously because it's Monday, but they'll be. Friday night's game will be the Storm versus the Roosters. This one, odds are pretty relevant, I guess. But Storm $1.30 to Roosters $3.60. Even with that performance the Roosters put up, I think it's going to be hard. I think Melbourne definitely have that ability to do it, to go ahead 100%. But I do honestly, I do think the Roosters will have a go. I don't know if it's going to be enough. unfortunately. Like we said, with their injuries and all that sort of stuff, they did play well on the weekend, but I just think, it's sort of coming to an end once they come up against the Storm after a week off as well, that week rest.
I mean, look, there are some damning stats between these two teams.
Yeah, yep.
Like, damning stats. You've got 10 of the last 11 games between the Storm and the Roosters have been won by the Storm. Over 50% of those games have been won over 2 tries or more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already rough going in straight away,
yeah.
Especially when the Roosters have a relatively damaged spine, and man, you know that they're going to bully that.
Yeah,
you know they're going to bully that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is also at Amy Park, right? Yeah, this is at Amy Park. Yeah, they've lost the last 4 at Amy Park. I think 3 or 4.
Yep.
Coates loves to score against Roosters.
Yep.
Coates, the Coates v Young, I think it is. Coates v Young, I think, is the matchup. Coates v Young. Last 3 games against the Roosters, Coates has scored 8 times.
Holy moly.
So that's already pretty rough. Again, I know there's another big one as well. This is also Harry Grant's 100th game for the Storm.
Yeah.
So it's milestone as well, so there's going to be a bit of a turn-up, I have a feeling. I gravely fear for the Roosters in this game. Gravely fear for them.
Mm-hmm.
I very strongly believe the Storm will pump them.
I'm feeling as well there's probably going to be a little bit of AFL supporter backing the Melbourne Storm here, seeing as there's no Melbourne teams in the grand final.
That's right,
so it's probably going to be pretty hostile for
That's a really good point, actually. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Brisbane, the Queensland boys crushing it.
Yep.
Making sure that there's no finals.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking there's going to be it's going to be a pretty tough run for the Roosters in this one.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I was going to say Storm no matter what anyway, but I think just after you read the stats between the two teams, you look at the form between the two teams, you look at the teams between the two teams.
Yeah.
Storm is probably the clear winner here in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one, man. 100%. I got to agree with you.
It's tough to go against it, you know.
They're just they're just that step ahead, I think, of the Roosters.
I mean, they've got 2 of the best hookers in the game as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Roosters just lost their main hooker. Yeah. So it's they're just gonna be so behind the 8 ball, I think, compared.
Yeah.
They're just gonna lose off that alone, man.
And it may even be, similar. The way I'm seeing is similar to that Panthers Roosters game in week 1. It might just if Storm just get out to that good start, just that little bit of a lead, and sort of choke the Roosters out. Unfortunately, choke the chickens. If you were to put it that way, I think you'll find. I think you'll find they just get a bit too far ahead.
Yeah, I think if we're going to see the Roosters do anything in this game, it's got to be off their edges.
Yeah.
Yep. Which also just makes me fear for people like Radley's head. But anyway.
Leading head first. Yeah.
Yep. I fear for them, but it's got to come from their edges. The halves have a lot of work to do, obviously, naturally. I think Teddy will get shot down way too hard. I think it's all going to come off halves, making sure the edges are in the game. I think the wings will be fucking impossible, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I just can't see them scoring off wing. I think it's all just going to be off edge.
Yep.
Edge, good running.
Yep.
Pray for him.
Yep.
But probably Storm. I'm back in Storm anyway.
Might see some Crichton going over or something like that. Yeah. And then the other prelim knockout game will be Panthers versus Sharks down at Accor Stadium there. This one, very, very big test, I think. Sharks, as we said, just sort of small win and then absolutely pumped the week before, thrashed the week before. I find it hard to think the Panthers, how we've seen them play, are going to go down
not with
to
the
the
full
Sharks.
Squad back. There's no way.
And if they do, good on the Sharks because I am rooting for them. It'd be good to see someone else other than the fucking Panthers make the grand final for the 5th year in a row. But I find it too hard. I can't see it happening, unfortunately, especially not with the second half they had last week. They had everything. They had it in the bag. They could have put on, 40 fucking points if they wanted to, but no, Cowboys staged a bit of a comeback. So Panthers, I just don't think are going to let that happen. I think even if the Sharks are ahead, I think Panthers will, be back to their methodical best and just.
I mean, I didn't mention it, but if they had Atkinson instead of Hines, it was 40 easy.
Yeah,
but, I just can't just based off the second half performance of the Sharks there with the squad that they had.
Yeah.
Against the Cows, you do that. You rock up to a core and play like that against Riff. No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, exactly.
0% chance.
Just too methodical, and you know what I mean. They just grind that win out no matter what they have to do, man. So. Yeah, I think there's probably not a whole lot more to be said, unfortunately, for the Sharks on this one. It's got to be, for me, I think a Panthers win. And if it's a Sharks win, I think it's only narrow. But, yeah, I think it's just going to be a Panthers win in this one for me.
Yeah. The Sharks have been outscored 70-0 in their past 2 clashes against the Penrith Panthers.
Well, there you go. If you wanted anything else more damning, there you have it. However, though, they have broken the curse of being knocked out in straight sets in the finals or within.
That is true.
So they could be, if anything, could be the year to break omens. Who knows?
This is also a Shark. This is also Nico Hines' 100th game as a Shark, as a player actually.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Hines' 100th appearance.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
It is Isaiah Yo's record-breaking appearance as well.
Oh no, another milestone to counteract that milestone.
Uh-oh. Panthers have won 7 of their 8 games against the Sharks. Last 8 games.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, and especially after their second half performance, this last week, I just can't see them beating Penrith. I think they're just going to get smashed.
It's easy, you know what I mean. It's easy to say, but I think Riff. Just from what we've seen,
it's got to be Riff.
It's got to be Riff, yeah. Unfortunately for the rest of the league that aren't Penrith fans, but yeah.
That said, that does mean that we will get a cracker of a grand final.
Yes, yeah,
we will get a incredibly entertaining grand final, no matter what.
Yep.
I'd obviously love to see either of those other teams in there just to break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think either way we look at it, it's going to be a pretty entertaining grand final if we get Storm v Penrith.
Definitely, yeah. So. Can't help but agree 100%, man. That one with the grand final, then obviously the week after, Sunday the 6th of October, is that one. So once we have this weekend's results and whatnot, and whoever wins goes head to head. I think that'll be our next episode when we come through anyway, because it's content's getting a bit shorter and shorter of thought through the final series, unfortunately.
Way she goes.
Yeah, we'll be coming back to sort of to review that one, the grand final. But yeah, I think it's for most people. I think it's pretty clear cut who we're going to be seeing take each other on then Sunday the 6th.
Yeah.
That's about it for the finals so far. As it is, have you got to try the fortnight, try the round, try the finals, try what you do?
As painful it is, obviously because it's against my Cows, but you can't look past just how awesome Trindle's try was against us. The second try he got, first try was obviously whatever, it's penalty try. Here's what it is. The second one though, that was just halfback brilliance. That was just peak halfback brilliance. I mean, Ramian had a hand in it, but it was barely a hand. He just Trindle made that happen.
Assist.
31st minute.
Yep.
Puts in a kick from the 30 over to the probably the 10 to 5 meter area. On the wing there.
Yep.
Ramian catches it, and Ramian holds it up a little bit, draws in as much as he can, pops it out with a flick to the edge, with Trindle running from literally in the middle of the field,
yep,
all the way over to the edge line there, and gets himself a try.
Yep.
In a fantastic put down as well. One hand, bit of a jump too. It's stellar. It's winger-esque. It's disgusting. It's disgustingly epic. Disgustingly epic. And I'm sad he put our cows to the sword, but man, I'm glad he graced the league with that try.
Yeah, great final series.
It's a
from him.
great final series, really.
100%. Yeah, most definitely.
Can't take it away from him.
Yep. Yeah, I think, like we've discussed, it's been a pretty cracker final series. We said it was going to be good, and it has been.
It's been a cracker season.
Pretty much every game's delivered. Yeah. Yep. And I think we're pretty set for whatever comes in the next 2 weeks. We're pretty well set for some cracker games again as well, which is always positive for the league fans. At least we're getting the best out of it. But I think that's probably about it for the finals so far. There wasn't really anything else or any news that I can think of. Nothing pressing anyway. At this stage,
given the current injury status as well, I think. I do hate to say it, but it feels like a lot of the games will be clear cut until the grand finals.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah,
is what it is. Yep. Well, with that, as per usual, we are getting toward the end of the year here. There's probably only one more normal episode left anyway. But if you do have any questions or any content suggestions or anything, hit us up at Hit the Gap Podcast on Instagram, or just give us a follow. A like on Facebook, or even you can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and keep up to date with everything. Like I said, not much more for the rest of the year to go, but moving forward and then on to next year anyway. Once again, thanks for tuning in.